Just became a national security enigma. You, yes you, sitting there thinking you're just another face in the crowd, just another name in the database, just another file gathering digital dust. Wrong. Dead wrong. Because somewhere in a temperature-controlled facility, there's an analyst staring at 17 monitors, and every single one of them is showing your profile. And every single one of them is screaming the same thing. Error. Does not compute. Cannot categorize. And that analyst, they've got a migraine that won't quit, a coffee addiction that's turning lethal, and a supervisor breathing down their neck, asking one simple question they can't answer. What the hell are we looking at here? You see, they've been watching. Not for days, not for weeks, years, plural. Multiple fiscal budgets have been allocated to studying you. Entire shifts have been assigned to your case. Algorithms, specifically designed to predict human behavior, have crashed trying to process your patterns. They've got your digital footprint mapped, your location history tracked, your transaction records analyzed, your social connections graphed, your communication patterns decoded. They know what you eat for breakfast, what time you sleep, which route you take to work, how long you spend in the bathroom, what makes you laugh at 2 a.m. They know things about you that you've forgotten about yourself. But here's the beautiful, chaotic, absolutely maddening truth. They don't know you, not even close, not even a little bit. Because every time they think they've got you figured out, every time they draft their profile, every time they assign you a category, a classification, a threat level, a predictability score, you do something that shatters their entire framework. You're the anomaly that keeps multiplying, the outlier that refuses to regress to any mean, the data set that makes their machine learning models throw exceptions. And it's driving them absolutely insane because their entire existence depends on one fundamental principle. Everything can be classified. Everyone fits somewhere. But you stubborn, brilliant, categorically impossible human, you don't fit anywhere, and you won't stay still long enough for them to force you into a box. Let me paint you the picture. Right now, there's a file. Your file. It's not slim. It's not neat. It's 347 pages of contradictions, paradoxes, and behavioral patterns that cancel each other out. Page 1 says you're risk-averse. Page 43 says you're a thrill seeker. Page 92 says you're socially anxious. Page 160 says you're a natural leader. Page 211 says you're predictable. Page 212 says you're chaos incarnate. And the analyst reading this, they're not nodding along. They're not taking notes. They're staring at their screen like it just insulted their mother, because nothing, absolutely nothing about you makes sense in their world. They've watched you stay silent for months and labeled you passive, then watched you speak up once and shift an entire room's energy and had to delete everything they wrote. They've watched you tolerate disrespect with a smile, categorized you as a pushover, then watched you cut someone off permanently, without warning, without drama, without explanation, and had to rewrite your entire psychological profile. They've watched you live modestly, filed you under low ambition, then watched you execute a plan so precise, so calculated, so devastatingly effective that they had to add 17 new data points to your classification system. You're not behaving like the algorithms said you would. You're not following the patterns your demographics suggest. You're not conforming to the predictions your history implies. Every model they build around you crumbles. Every prediction they make about you fails. Every time they think they understand your motivations, you do something that reveals 7 more layers they didn't even know existed. They thought you were reactive, but you've been strategic this whole time. They thought you were emotional, but you've been calculating behind that mask. They thought you were broken, but you were just reorganizing your entire operational structure in silence. And now they're sitting there with charts that don't chart, graphs that don't graph, and reports that read like fiction because the truth, the actual documented truth about you, sounds too impossible to be real. Here's what they know for certain. You're not a threat, but you're not harmless. You're not a follower, but you're not leading anyone. You're not ambitious, but you're achieving things that require massive ambition. You're not connected, but your influence spreads like a virus through networks you're not even part of. You're not wealthy, but you operate with the confidence of someone who's never worried about money. You're not educated in traditional ways, but you speak with an authority that makes experts second-guess themselves. You're not loud, but when you talk, rooms go quiet. You're not seeking attention, but you command it without trying. See the problem? Every single statement about you needs a but. The junior analysts, the fresh ones, they keep suggesting simple explanations. Maybe they're just inconsistent. And the senior analyst, the one who's been watching you for 3 years, the one whose marriage fell apart because they couldn't stop thinking about your case, they just laugh. A tired, broken laugh. Because inconsistent people are predictable in their inconsistency. You're not inconsistent. You're selectively consistent. You're strategically unpredictable. You're chaos that occasionally cosplays as order, or maybe you're order that occasionally cosplays as chaos, and they can't tell which, because both are equally convincing. You're a performance art piece that no one can tell is performance, or just art, or neither, or both. They've tried everything: behavioral analysis, psychological profiling, pattern recognition software, predictive modeling. They've compared you to 12,000 other profiles. They've run your data through systems designed to catch terrorists, detect fraud, predict mass movements. Nothing sticks. Nothing holds. You're slipping through every net they cast. They thought maybe you were trained, maybe intelligence, maybe corporate espionage, maybe foreign operative. They investigated, found nothing, because you're not trained. You're just you. And that's somehow more terrifying to them than any training could ever be. Because training they understand, training they can decode, but natural, organic, unstructured unpredictability, that's the stuff that breaks their systems. Let me tell you what happened last Thursday. Thursday, 3:47 p.m. You did something. Something small. Something that to you was probably meaningless, forgettable, just another moment in your day. But to them, to the analyst watching, it was the data point that made them stand up from their desk, walk to their supervisor's office, and say, "We need to reclassify this entire case." Want to know what you did? You chose something that, according to 17 years of behavioral research, given your profile, your history, your patterns, you had a 2.3% chance of choosing. And you didn't choose it randomly. You chose it deliberately, with purpose, with intention. And they have no idea why, no framework to understand it, no model to predict it. You just did it. And it worked. And now they're rewriting algorithms. But here's the beautiful part. The part that's keeping them up at night. The part that's turning your file from a curiosity into a legend. You're not trying to confuse them. You're not intentionally being unpredictable. You're not playing games with surveillance systems. You're just living. You're just being yourself. You're just making choices that make sense to you, in your world, with your logic, following your internal compass that apparently operates on principles that modern behavioral science hasn't discovered yet. You're not the rebel. You're not the anarchist. You're not the revolutionary. You're just someone who refuses to be simple, refuses to be easily understood, refuses to collapse into a single narrative. They wanted you to be one thing, you're 17 things. They wanted you to stay in one lane. You're driving on roads they didn't know existed. They wanted you to follow patterns. You create new ones daily. They wanted you to be predictable. You're a randomness generator wrapped in human skin. They wanted you to make sense. You're a beautiful, perfect, absolute disaster of contradictions that somehow impossibly work together. And the craziest part, you don't even know you're doing this. You're not conscious of being an anomaly. You're just making breakfast, going to work, having conversations, making choices, living life. Meanwhile, somewhere in a government facility, An entire department is having an existential crisis because of you. Your social patterns alone have spawned 3 different theories. Theory 1. You're extremely introverted with occasional extroverted outbursts. Theory 2. You're extremely extroverted, hiding behind introversion as a defense mechanism. Theory 3. You've transcended the entire introvert-extrovert spectrum and operate on a completely different axis that psychology hasn't named yet. All 3 theories have evidence. All 3 theories have been disproven. All 3 theories are simultaneously correct and incorrect. You're a walking, talking refutation of personality typing. Myers-Briggs looks at you and has a seizure. Enneagram sees you and requests a system update. The Big Five watches you and adds a 6th dimension just for you. Your financial behavior is another masterpiece of confusion. You're frugal, except when you're not. You save aggressively, except when you spend like money's evaporating tomorrow. You budget meticulously, except your budget has line items that make no logical sense. You're financially conservative, except you take risks that would make venture capitalists sweat. You live below your means, except you invest in things that people twice your income level consider luxury. You're risk-averse with money, except you bet on yourself in ways that look insane on paper but somehow always work out. They've tried to model your financial decision-making. The model returned an error message that just said, "Good luck with that." Your relationship patterns, they've given up on those entirely. You're loyal to a fault, except you'll ghost someone without warning. You're trusting, except your walls are reinforced concrete. You're open, except there are parts of you no one's ever seen. You invest deeply in people, except you can detach completely when needed. You forgive easily, except certain lines, once crossed, result in permanent exile. You're a people person, except you disappear for weeks and don't miss anyone. You need connection, except you thrive in isolation. You're emotionally available, except when you're not, and no one can tell the difference. Your relationships don't follow attachment theory. They follow some kind of custom-built framework that you invented without realizing it. And your ambitions, your goals, your life direction, that's where it gets truly beautiful. They can't figure out what you want, because you want everything and nothing. You're driven, except you're content. You're hungry, except you're satisfied. You're climbing, except you're already at the top of your own mountain. You want success, except you've redefined success in ways that don't register on traditional metrics. You're competitive, except you're only competing with yourself. You want recognition, except you actively avoid the spotlight. You want to change the world, except you're fine if no one ever knows you did it. You're ambitious, except ambition implies wanting something you don't have, and you seem to have everything you need without having anything they expect you to need. Here's what really breaks their brains, though. You're happy. Not fake happy, not performing happy, actually genuinely happy, or content, or at peace, or whatever you want to call that state, where someone isn't constantly chasing, seeking, needing, wanting more. And according to everything they know about human behavior, about motivation, about drive, about the hedonic treadmill, about social comparison, about status anxiety, you shouldn't be. Not with your circumstances, not with your challenges, not with your history, not with what you've been through. You should be restless. You should be dissatisfied. You should be trying to fill some void, but you're not. You're just existing in this state of okayness that their models say is impossible given your variables. They've documented 17 separate occasions where you should have broken, where the pressure was too much, where the odds were too bad, where any reasonable person would have quit, given up, walked away, collapsed. 17 times where their predictions said, system failure imminent, and 17 times where you just kept going. Not dramatically, not heroically, just kept going, like it wasn't even hard, like you didn't even notice the mountain you were climbing. And each time, they had to add another footnote to your file. Subject continues to defy stress response predictions, which is their professional way of saying, we have no idea how this person is still functioning. Your communication style is another unsolved mystery. You're direct, except when you're cryptic. You say exactly what you mean, except your words have 7 layers of meaning. You're an open book, except no one can read the language it's written in. You overshare, except you've never revealed the important things. You're articulate, except sometimes you communicate more through silence than words. You're engaging in conversation, except half the time people leave conversations with you not sure what you actually said. You're honest, except your honesty is wrapped in metaphors that mean different things to different people. You're clear, except your clarity reveals how much depth was hiding under simple statements. And your decision-making process, the thing they watch most carefully because decisions reveal values, motivations, patterns. Your decisions are pure chaos dressed as logic. You use reason, except your reasoning includes variables they can't measure. You're analytical, except you factor in intuition like it's hard data. You weigh options carefully, except sometimes you just know and you move and it works. You're strategic, except your strategy includes elements of chance that somehow aren't chance. You plan ahead, except you're comfortable pivoting completely based on a feeling. You're systematic, except your system includes throwing out the system when it stops serving you. You follow a process, except the process is invisible to everyone but you. Let's talk about your resilience, because this is where they really lose their minds. Resilience they understand. Resilience has markers, coping mechanisms, support systems, recovery patterns. But you don't bounce back. You don't recover. You don't cope in recognizable ways. You just absorb impact and keep moving. Like you're made of some material that doesn't register damage the way it's supposed to. They've watched you experience loss, betrayal, failure, rejection, pain. All the things that should leave psychological markers, behavioral changes, defensive adaptations. And you came out of each experience different, yes, but not damaged, not hardened, not bitter, not defensive, just different. Like you metabolized the experience and integrated it without letting it define you. They're starting to suspect you're not playing the same game everyone else is playing, that you're operating from a completely different rule book, or no rule book, that you've somehow opted out of the systems that govern most human behavior without opting out of society itself. You're in the world, but not of it. You're participating, but not competing. You're connected, but not dependent. You're engaged, but not attached. You're present, but not imprisoned by the present. You're ambitious, but not desperate. You're successful, but not status-seeking. You're confident, but not arrogant. You're humble, but not self-deprecating. You're all these contradictions existing simultaneously without contradiction. The newest analyst on your case, fresh out of training, full of confidence and theoretical knowledge, they spent their first week reviewing your file. At the end of week 1, they submitted a preliminary report. 3 pages, clean classifications, clear predictions, confident assessments. The senior analyst, the one who's been drowning in your file for years, they didn't even read it. Just handed it back and said, revise this in 6 months, after you've watched them actually live. Week 12, that new analyst submitted a revised report, 27 pages. No classifications, only questions, predictions crossed out, assessments turned into hypotheses. Welcome to the club. Your file now has another confused contributor. But here's what they're really afraid of. What keeps the senior analysts awake? What turns your file from interesting to important? It's not that you're unpredictable. It's that you're unpredictable and functional. Unpredictable and successful. Unpredictable and stable. Because their entire system is built on a premise. Predictability equals stability. If we can predict you, we can manage you. If we can categorize you, we can understand the risks you pose, the value you offer, the role you'll play. But you're proving that premise wrong. You're showing that someone can be completely unclassifiable and not just survive, but thrive. And if one person can do that, maybe others can too. Maybe their entire framework is broken. You're not a glitch. You're not an error. You're evidence that the system is incomplete, that human behavior is more complex, more fluid, more beautifully chaotic than their models account for. You're the data point that doesn't fit, not because you're wrong, but because the graph is too small. And they can't just dismiss you, can't just call you an outlier and move on. Because you're not failing, you're not struggling, you're not barely making it, you're actually doing well. By most measures, you're thriving. Which means you're not the exception that proves the rule. You're the exception that questions the rule. And that's dangerous to people whose careers depend on the rule being absolute. They've started calling your file the Paradox Project, internally, not officially. Officially, it's still just your name and case number. But in the break room, in the hallway conversations, in the emails they think are private, you're the paradox, the file that makes no sense, the case that breaks the pattern, the subject that defies analysis. And there's a split happening in how they view you. Half of them are frustrated, angry even, because you're making them look incompetent, making their training seem useless, making their expertise feel hollow. They want you to fit. They need you to fit, and you won't. The other half, they're fascinated, obsessed, because you're the puzzle they've been waiting for their whole careers, the problem that actually challenges them, the mystery that might actually matter. Your file has become a teaching tool. New analysts are assigned to study you as a test. Can they find the pattern everyone else missed? Can they crack the code that stumped the veterans? So far, no one has. 93 analysts have reviewed your file. 93 different conclusions. Some contradictory, some partially overlapping, none complete, none satisfying, none predictive. Your file is where confident analysts become humble, where theoretical knowledge meets practical confusion, where the system's limitations become undeniable. You're not just a case anymore. You're a career-defining challenge. And the irony, the beautiful irony, is that you have no idea any of this is happening. You're just living your life, making your weird choices, following your strange logic, being your contradictory self. You're not trying to be difficult. You're not trying to be an enigma. You're just being authentic in a world that's designed to handle performance, not authenticity. You're just being complex in systems built for simplicity. You're just being human in frameworks designed to reduce humans to variables, and that's breaking everything. Not violently, not dramatically, just quietly, persistently, undeniably breaking everything.